Welcome to Never Rewrite. I'm Isaac Askew.
And I'm Jeffrey Sherman. And today we're going to talk about working with clients who have a very risky software setup. So there's lots of ways that a client can be very risky. They could not have enough money to pay you and want to pay you with exposure. They could
Hmm.
be doing something unethical or illegal. But in this case, we're going to focus on clients who nominally are trying to do the right thing, but their software setup poses a risk to you, the consultant. So
Right.
Isaac, you want to frame it up for us?
Yeah. I recently came across this issue. I found an interesting client that reached out and said, "Hey, we would love to use your services. Can you come check out our setup and give us some advice?" And so initially, what our consultancy did was just kind of go in and look at their system and write documentation for them. Particularly, they wanted to be
Was
able to
that
go.
free or did you charge for that?
Oh, I charge for
Okay, good.
that. Basically look at the system, almost like write documentation for the context of like an auditor. They're like, we have
Hmm.
this system, only one person has built it over the 10 years.
Wow, 10
And
years.
yeah, they had another contractor has built their system. They don't actually have an in-house employee, interestingly. Um, and recently they needed to have reason to explain how this particular system worked to auditors. And they were like, and they didn't really have a way to explain how the data is getting pulled or how these projections are working or anything.
So
So
just let me
mhm,
ask a couple of clarifying questions. So it's a small company. They've been working with the same developer for 10 years. This developer's written everything.
mhm,
That relationship, it, it's fine more or less, or it was fine, but it's been 10 years. They need more help.
mhm.
And so this is the first time somebody who is not the developer has gone in and looked at what the developer has done.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, and what prompted this is like a merging of two companies. So
Okay.
two
So
similar
yes.
companies merged. Now they're like, okay, but now we want some better standards here. We need to also have some documentation around how it works, give it to the auditors, yada
Right.
yada.
Due diligence. Like there's
Hmm.
reasons. So it's still not about the developer, which I think is an important call out because like we all hear stories of, oh, this developer was terrible and they did all
Hmm.
this crazy stuff. In this case, is I mean, you will get there, but so it might be that the developer was terrible and did crazy things, but the
Uh-huh.
client was reasonably happy with their work for a
Yes.
10-year period,
Hmm.
and external forces were causing the investigation, not unhappiness with the developer and their relationship.
Right. There was no unhappiness there. It's just more like the system's not documented. The other developer has a ton of other work we're giving them, and now we're like, one, we kind of want to find a way to explain the system to any other people other like people we onboard in case since we're
Mm-hmm.
expanding now or we've merged now we want to write some new features,
Mm-hmm.
and this is going to be more work than one person can handle. So let's kill two birds with one stone here and go in and document the system for auditors. And while we're documenting it, then you guys could be like writing up some other documents to explain to people how it works for both the auditor's perspective, but also the engineer's perspective for any future engineers that we want to hire. So
Cool.
that's the kind of the premise there. So any questions first before I continue?
I mean, I'm just thinking about the Joel list, which we
Oh yeah,
talked about in a previous thing. So was it using source control?
yes,
Okay. Whew. All
yeah.
right. Continue.
I
Tell me
was worried
more.
about that too. um, so either way, we take a look at the code. It's in Rails. The contractor's done a pretty good job of kind of like this MVC separation,
Okay.
standard MVC separation. Um, Nothing is terribly odd about the software. I mean, it's not documented at all. Like, there's not even like a README to explain how to set things up locally. So it's not like um, there is no local development really. It's just this guy who set it up to work with it. He's using source control, but no other person has needed to like clone it down and install it. So all the instructions of things that he's run into to set it up to work for him don't exist, right? So
Okay.
we had an engineer sit with him, work with him, and basically kind of write out the instructions of, okay, this is how we would get this installed on our machine. And it turns out they don't have like a staging environment really. It's just the person's local environment. He'll test locally, and he clones down production data to test locally. And
Hmm.
then if things look good, then he pushes it up. and deploys it.
Okay, so he takes the production data, pulls it down to his local environment, runs it
Hmm.
locally. He does do local development, right?
Local development, yes.
Right. So it's not he's developing and running in production.
Correct. Yeah. He's a little more sane than that.
Well, I mean, he's using source control, so it's not the worst thing I've
It's
ever
not the
heard.
worst.
It's a low bar. The worst. Anyway, so I can see not having a staging environment in this situation because your computer is the staging environment, you doing all the development. No one is
Hmm.
going to be running other services that you are unaware of and
Right.
making changes to them, because the only thing I don't like is this pulling production data locally.
Right.
Is this highly PII type data? Is this data that you'd be worried about if his laptop got stolen?
I'd say yes. Um, it is a financial based company. I won't go too deep into it.
Yeah, don't go deep into it. Fine, they work
um,
in finance.
yeah, it would be bad if the inner workings of the system was somehow exploited for sure. So that's kind of the midway point where, like, we did our first pass through. We gave them some documentation. We gave them some recommendations on how to move forward because there were some other areas they want to improve. There's like this dispatch board where they have people go out and fix things too. And there's people who use that software, don't like the software. So there's plenty of room for improvement. And so after we got the first pass done, we were like, okay, well, it would be nice to interview the person who's using this every day out in the field, see what their pain points are so that we understand a better picture from their perspective versus
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to play telephone game with how it gets passed down.
Sure.
But then I get to thinking, well, there is inherent risk here since we're not using staging data and we were just essentially getting like read access to production data. There's a risk of our systems getting compromised. Like if my computer
Mm-hmm.
got hacked or something, since I'm using real data, that would suck. Then
Right.
testing it locally is really all I've got. Um,
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the developers have access, read it, even if it's read only access to
mhm.
production, screams a suck to problem, as well
Right,
as Sarbanes if it's
right.
finance.
And then again, the local setup is very um, not it's complicated and not well documented. Even though we again, like, we had one engineer sit down and kind of work through it,
Mm-hmm.
it's still that whole flow could be a bit better. And then obviously test coverage is lacking. There's no explanation for any other features that are there. So you have to work with this one contractor that's not super available,
Because he's
and
busy.
so
He's not
because
hostile.
he's busy, because he's busy. Um, and in my head, I'm like, okay, well, is going forward worth it? Because in my head, the communication is lagging with
Mm-hmm.
the only person who I can talk to with this. I can,
Well, that's good and bad.
okay,
So cynically, I mean, from the customer standpoint, it's bad because the conversation is lagging. From your perspective as a contractor, if you're billing hourly, the fact that the contractor is going to take a long time to get back to you and you're going to have to spin your wheels actually banging your head against it, you get paid for that. And so from
true, but
a not
yeah,
great, like it's not great for the customer, but
I'd
you could
rather it be great for the customer because I,
yeah,
I want it to be a very happy relationship. I don't want to
right.
spin my wheels and build them, right? But yeah, I see what you mean. It favors me
Right.
in that
It's not
case.
great, but it favors you in this case
Yeah,
of you can legitimately spend time figuring this out yourself and bill them for
right.
that.
Yeah. And I'd rather cut through the bullshit, get straight to the problem by working with this engineer instead of having to bang my head like by myself, figuring out the system while I wait for him to be here. And so that's kind of part of the thing is like I kind of called out in one of the calls, hey, can I get a schedule or something like that from this other contractor? Because that tight communication is going to make it to where my relationship with this client won't sour because every hour build will be an efficiently built hour, and that's kind of
Right.
what I'm going for. Um, but then back
Okay.
to the production issue. There's stuff I want to do before we get to the feature development. Essentially, this is what kind of I want to put infrastructure in place that makes it less risky for me to deliver these things and help me test these things, and in a way that's not just like, okay, it ran locally. We don't have any other way, to tinker with this. We don't have any other QA people. to confirm this. The only other person double checking me is this other contractor who, maybe he'll miss something, or maybe I'll miss something.
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, and so I'm trying to kind of like in my head justify or understand like where is this point on the spectrum of risk reward where I want to say, yeah, I should accept this project even though there's some risks with having production data locally, risks with this relationship with the client souring if I'm billing and not showing enough work because of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
How do I bridge that gap? How do I talk to this person and let them know these are my requirements, I guess, to work with you?
Well, it seems like, and my answer now is very different than it would have been 18 months ago, because it
Hmm.
seems like AI is your friend here.
Hmm.
Uh, the the way to handle the production data is to have an anonymization script.
Yeah.
So you have to pull in production data, but you can have some script to anonymize it, and AI can help you with that. Where it's like, hey, download this data, transform it, and make it anonymous, and then build a service around that idea of. So now you don't have access anymore. You just have access to this script, which will only give you anonymized data, and that gets rid of the immediate problem, right? Of
Yeah.
being, you still need to set up a staging environment, and that's just anything where you go from one to two developers. Now you need a staging environment
Yeah.
so that the two of you can consider things, in the same thing. And then also AI is one. Well, it's not wonderful, but it's pretty good at here's my code base, answer these questions for me.
Yeah.
And it, especially somebody who's been at this thing for 10 years, they probably don't remember much more than AI will understand from code that hasn't been touched in 5 years,
Right.
even though they wrote all of it.
That makes sense. So is the idea, hey, before we can work with you, we need to spend some money first on a pre project where we make this staging environment, we make this a little less risky for us to work with you.
Yes, that would be my pitch of, I'd love to help you. I need to do these things. It would be important since you said it was financial. I
Mm-hmm.
would check Sarbanes Oxley. You could ask for some high level about that. If this company's probably unknowingly cruising for a bruising if they'd ever
Mm.
got caught of what they were exactly doing, not intentionally, but just because they didn't realize they were breaking the rules. And so that might be a way to pitch it up. Look, you need to do these things because you're moving from a single developer to multiple developers, and it's just a cost of doing business or a
Yeah.
part of scaling and getting
Okay.
yourself to a position like that. But I don't find this super scary because they've got source control, they've got a good
Mm-hmm.
relationship with the developer,
Yeah.
which is really important
Mm-hmm.
in terms of making this less scary. They have a reason that they're expanding, right? They're expanding, so things are going well. If not
Yep.
great, they're going well, and they want to move to a larger footprint. So they need to do some of this foundational work to professionalize for multiple developers.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just foundational scaling work. Are they in? Do they have like a cloud provider, or is this, if it's local development on somebody's laptop, and then they're not running an actual server or cluster of servers, are they?
I don't remember that. I didn't check. I'm not sure if it's one of those things where it's like everything's running on a locked server at their location or not. So let's just guess there. What is your feedback for either?
Just if it's a Rails app and it's on the cloud, turning on another instance and write a
Mm-hmm.
anonymizer function, clone production to a second environment, call it staging, and boom, you've got a staging environment. If you're on AWS, that's
Trivial, or comparatively trivial. Yeah,
yeah. The only difficult part of that is the anonymizer.
got it. Yeah, those are tricky too because you have to understand what data is important before you go through and anonymize it. So that's another thing that we kind of work with the other developer on. Find all the different tables that are there. Find out which, like obviously names are important, but are there any other identifiers that can tie back to things that you didn't consider that you need to kind of work with them to make sure that was anonymized as well.
Well,
But yeah,
addresses, dates, right? It's okay if you take all that the format of all that data and you change
yeah,
123 Main Street to
some
20
other faker. Yeah,
random street, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's fine, unless you actually need some GeoIP geolocation services, in which case you'd need to have it pick random data that's real.
Yeah, yeah. But doable. So it sounds
Doable.
like yeah, the main thing you would be concerned about is just ensuring that there's clear communication, that there needs to be a little bit of work before we can get to the work they want to do.
Right, and I think you need to also frame it in terms of compliance and risk to them.
Yeah, I mean the fact that they need a documentation for an auditor anyway shows that they're more concerned with those things. So that's probably a good way to phrase it. Yeah.
Right, they're probably concerned with SOC 2 compliance. Uh, just from my experience, SOC 2 is the big one that everybody's always concerned with.
Yeah.
And the SOC 2 is sort of doesn't have it has teeth, but not really, because as long as if somebody points out that you're not in compliance and you say, okay, we're going to work on that, and you
Yeah.
say this is how we're working on it, you can basically stay out of compliance forever as you work towards it. As long as you agree that you're out of compliance and you're working on it, and you can show that you're working on it,
Hmm.
then that is acceptable out of compliance.
Interesting.
It's
Okay.
a
I kind of remember some of this with with yeah, a separate company.
so developers having production access to production data is without being is not in compliance. But if you say yes, we know that's a problem, and here we're going to anonymize the data, and then we're going to make a copy of the anonymized data, and then developers will only have access to the anonymized data. Now you're in compliance.
Yeah.
And so, like, those are the kinds of things where you have to work. You have to go in with, we're going to work together hand in hand to get into compliance and get you to a state where you can have other developers.
Yeah.
Which is what they want.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I would be draw firm on we have to do because it's also like your insurance company will be very unhappy with you if they get a claim that you had production data on a laptop and the laptop got stolen, and then there was a data breach, and now they have to pay out you
what would that fall under? Would that fall under the incompetence?
Errors and omissions, I guess.
Errors and omissions, yeah.
It'd be your errors. You should not have done that.
Yeah.
You should have known that.
Right. Yeah, well, either way, I think this is kind of a good path forward. We'll see if they bite, but that's one of those things where I'm like, it's a boundary of mine. Like, it needs to happen because I don't want my laptop getting stolen and that data getting exposed and a lawsuit on my hands. It's not worth the contract if someone can't agree to that at least.
Right, and again, it doesn't have to be it's not a confrontational thing. It's a let's work together to get there kind of a thing. And if they want to say, well, let's get the most important parts done, and then let's do this other really important thing, and then let's go back to the other. Like it doesn't have to be all what you need first.
Yeah.
As long as it's agreed upon that you're going to work on it until it's done. But that's how I would protect myself in that one.
Sounds good. Well, there you go. It's how to work with a risky client with a risky database or risky
software setup. Yeah, risky development environment. Just reminds me of the good old days in my first job where it was using something called Front Page, and you would hit save and it would FTP the files right up to the website, which was of course the one website. And so you were developing in production with every time you hit save, it would, it's good times. Don't do that.
Or the shortcut for like uploading it and all the lack of source control files too, like final underscore final final underscore final v2.
No, we had source control. It was a
Oh.
terrible product called Source Safe. Anyway, thank you all for listening. I'm Jeffrey Sherman.
And I'm Isaac Askew, and this is Never Rewrite.